And welcome to a video you didn't know you needed, but now you got it on the one and only Godzilla, the GTR R34. Welcome back to another edition of Shutoko Revival Project Showcase, as we go over one by one the beautiful machines featured in the SRP mod for Assetto Corsa. Now today, this is a special one. Deep within my cold, clandestine, deserted heart, I have a place for one thing, and one thing only, and that is the Nissan R34 GTR. In whatever trimming you want, V-Spec, NER, whatever you want. I love it. Even I might even had my hands on one in Japan at one point. There might be some picture evidence of that, and you might go, "That's not you." It's like, you're right. It's not me in the body that I am now. I was a lot skinnier, but some things have happened. I discovered beer. It got out of hand. Anyway, today we're going to cover the GTR R34 by what I can discover is maxi speed. At least that's what's in the title of it. Now, if you go and look at the description of this video in your content manager or in your Assetto Corsa client, it will tell you that the physics are by none other than Toge Workshop. The same individuals that had a lot of their hands in the NSX that we covered in the previous video. Now, the edit model, or model editor, if you were to use proper grammar, I believe is K. Maximov, which is very Russian in origin. And what leads me to believe that is not that I'm profiling that name, that it's that 2/3 of the description of this car are in Russian, a language in which I do not speak. Blat. So without boring you with any more commentary, what we're going to do, just like the last video, we're going to take this thing into the content manager showroom and give it a nice little spin around on the catwalk and say what we don't like, say what we do like, just praise it, you know, just praise, little praise on the exterior of this Godzilla. Let's go. Woo! All right, back in the saddle with this puppy, and this is a special one. Now, there's a reason that I picked this particular colorway. Unlike the beautiful bombshell of a GTR that I drove in Tokyo, which was Bayside Blue, probably the most famous colorway for the Nissan GTR R34, I brought the Midnight Purple car into the showroom. And there's a reason I brought the Midnight Purple car into the showroom, is because it is the, minus the NER spec puke green, alright? But that's for a different day. It is the rarest colorway to get almost any of the Skyline regime in. And the reason I want to start out with is because I had like nothing but good things to say about the NSX in the last video. And this is something that just a little bit, just irks me a little bit. That's because Midnight Purple is the most prestigious color for a GTR. It is the most wanted, the most expensive, the most hard to find. So it's one of those things, if you're going to do in a video game, get it right. Now, I'll put a picture or a video or some kind of visual representation of what the Midnight Purple, now this is a proper Nissan paint code, this isn't an aftermarket paint, what it looks like, and then we can compare it to this matte purple that you see in the game here. We're just gonna zoom in on this, and that's what you get. That is a matte purple. There's really no color shift to be had, which is what Midnight Purple is. But I'm nitpicking here. All in all, this is a very, 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 very gorgeous and very accurate digital representation of an amazing vehicle. But that was my little nitpick. If your complaint on the last video was, well, I just feel like you were a little biased to the NSX, you said nothing but nice things. Well, this is me saying a not nice thing. But outside of this not being an accurate Midnight Purple, which is a pretty big nitpick, this is a fantastic looking car. So we will start with the, obviously, aftermarket hood there. That could be a million different GTR hoods, top secret, Bomex, anything that came out with this car. It could be a plethora of hoods, but very popular style with the mid vents. You have the V-Spec lip kit, it would look like, all the way around. You have a carbon fiber splitter. And then these these white Wed Sports. You never would have thought that these would, you know, out of all the wheels that I think that I would put on an R34, you know, you got your Works, you got your Volks, but man, they actually look great, and they look even better in game, believe it or not. But you have the Brembo brake calipers there, showing through the wheel. So all in all, the lighting, the reflections, the paint, the shading, everything looks great. Everything looks absolutely great. Stock GTR wing there. And then, of course, like we said, the V-Spec trimming. So this is a good looking model on the outside. Some of the paint colors, like I started out with, just aren't quite there. The Bayside blue isn't quite Bayside blue, and the paint finishes have this kind of odd matte color to them. They look just like there's no metallic. And I think that has a lot more to do with how Assetto displays paint more than a fault of any of the model editors. So we're just going to overlook that, and we're going to go ahead and take this thing in the game, go through the tuning options, and show you just how much of a freaking Godzilla this thing can really be on the Shuto. Let's go. So here we are, just lightly rumbling in the Iwo Jima parking area off the Shuto Expressway in our midnight purple, or wannabe midnight purple, R34 GTR. Now we're going to go through the tuning options here quick, just like the previous video, show you what you can do, what you can't do, what you're gonna get, and what you ain't gonna get. Now we go into the tuning menu here and go to gears. Lo and behold, unlike the NSX, we have gear ratios now. These are going to dramatically, and I mean dramatically, change the way this car behaves. And that has a lot to do with what you plan on doing with this vehicle. Are you running the Wangan? Are you running the C1? Are you doing high-speed blasts? Are you doing grip driving? And that's all going to dictate what you do with these gears. Now, obviously, if you are doing high speed, topped out to the friggin' max, exclamation points everywhere, high-speed driving, you obviously want long gears. But as you go down, that top speed is going to dissipate. However, you are going to climb through all these gears much faster. So these super short and short gears are going to be ideal for your grip driving, your C1 loop, whatever you want to do outside of driving fast in a straight line. If you want to drive fast in a straight line, leave this sucker at stock. Again, this isn't me telling you how to tune a car. I'm not a race car driver. I'm not a master tuner. I'm not a master mechanic. However, I do drive a few times around this track every day, and some stuff works, some stuff doesn't, and I've learned a little bit. But take it with a grain of salt. Do whatever you want. We go to tires here. Again, I'm pretty sure now that I've just ended my stream that this is not an option that you get when you run the car on the SRP server, the Semi-Slicks and Street. You are stuck with Street. You're stuck with the streets. So that's all you're going to get. That means all that you're going to change within these sliders is your tire pressure. We see that the R34 starts at 35 PSI all the way around, because this is an all-wheel drive turbo monster. 35, in my opinion, is a little high with what you're going to be doing with this car. But again, with all these sliders, take it or leave it. Just drive it, see how you feel, come back, tune it. I generally drop this to about 27 to 26 PSI all the way around when I run grip. I find that these high PSIs have you losing that rear end a little more than you like to. We like to keep that ass attached. Got a fuel here. Again, we explained this. Fuel has no place here. So really all this is going to do is change a little bit the most minutest of details of weight distribution from the front to the rear car, depending on where that tank is located. But otherwise, this is completely pointless. Leave it alone. Just don't put it on zero, because it might make sense that if you had zero gas in the car, that it's not going to go anywhere. And SRP has planned on that, because it won't. So don't put zero in there. Other than that, you can't go wrong. Electronics. So here we are missing traction control, but we do have ABS, which comes in really handy. This is a very late braking car, which is awesome. So you can dive into those corners at super high speed and jam those brakes, and you're gonna stay planted. So very nice ABS system on this car. Highly recommend for high-speed grip driving. And unlike the NSX that we covered in the previous video, we have a turbo slider, or a turbo controller, as one might call it. Now we can slide this all the way from 100 down to 0. That means no turbo. We've just turned our car into a naturally aspirated Skyline. Yeah. Who would drive? Why? Why would you? Why? Just don't do that. Don't do that. That upsets people. Yeah. Anyway, this starts on 80% by default. You can max this out to 100. Now you will find that if you keep that pressure, that PSI in the tires high, as you crank this turbo up and down, you're going to make a more severe change to how the car handles than if those tires are deflated a bit and you grip a little more. Because you're causing the tires to spin a lot more at 100% than you are at anything else. But regardless, you can take this anywhere you want on this slider, and this is just putting more or less boost through that turbo into your wheels. So again, starts at 80%. You can jack this up to 100. One thing that I do notice that might matter to you or somebody else is that from 80% to 90%, it's more turbo sound. More of that. And if you want more turbo sound, 100 has even more. All that stuff, all that good stuff. 80%, kind of hear the turbo, little some of that, you know, and then so, you know, just depends on depends on what you want. Oh god, now I'm the blow-off guy. Anyway, moving from electronics, we have the wing. This is going to adjust the downforce on the rear of the car. Now pay attention. Pay attention. We're not adjusting the downforce on the front of the car because there is no front splitter on the R34 GTR. So you are solely adjusting the downforce to the rear of the vehicle, keeping the rear of the vehicle planted. Now, in my experience, as you raise this or lower this, you are generally going to get better handling. Now, this is not true for every car. This is not true for every tune, but the tune that I put on this vehicle, deflated tires, differential all the way down. As you put this up, you are going to get better handling through the turns. Your car is going to be a little bit more predictable. So generally in my tunes, I jack this all the way up through the friggin' roof, man. But it starts on 1, which is good. That's a good amount of downforce, to be honest with you. 0 is no downforce, so you might as well just take the wing off. It's not there anymore. Well, physically it's there, but it's not there anymore in theory. But it starts at 1. Again, like I've said time and time again with all these tunes, go out and drive the car without touching any of these and come back and adjust them as needed. Just like the NSX, we have a full display of alignment sliders. I stay away from these because they scare me and I don't understand them. feel like I've said that disclaimer enough so people don't flame me in comments. You don't know what you're talking about. I know. I said I didn't know what I was talking about. So why did you watch the whole video? Damn. Moving to generic brake power. So this is the brake to all 4 wheels. There is no brake bias here. So in this all-wheel drive car, we are sending the same amount of brake power to all 4 disc brakes, and it starts stock at 100%. Suspension. Now the only thing that I want to point out here is we have the same array of sliders as the previous video with the NSX. However, this starts at a different stance. You can tell that in the front, left front, and right front, we are at 0. Which means the suspension is completely grounded. In the rear, left rear and right rear, we're up. What I'm only going to assume is 4 inches, but it just says 4. So we're up 4 over 0, which means the rear of this vehicle is taller than the front. And I find that I tweak this just a little bit for grip driving, but these are the only sliders between alignment and suspension that I generally screw with is height. I find a noticeable difference between playing with these as I'm trying to get the car to do different things. So that's all we have. Again, we can ignore pit stop strategy. There's no strategy when you don't need your pit stop for anything. And one thing I want to point out when you're tuning these cars is that you might find yourself, you've tweaked too many things. You're a touchy person. You touch too many things. Well, look at all the sliders. And you touch too many of them, and then your car's just a complete fucking train wreck. As soon as you leave the pits, it's just a fireball from hell, crashes into everything, and you're done with it. If that's you, if this sounds like you, what you can do is go into your setup and just go reset to default, and that will take all those sliders back to where your pointy little fingers found them. And then you can rinse and repeat. Go ahead and slide things away until you fuck it up again. And then you can reset to default, go back and try again. I find myself doing that a lot because I am a tinkerer. I like to tinker with things until the car drives the way that I want it. And sometimes I tinker too much, a little too much excessive tinkering, and have to reset to default. So that's a fun little button there to remind you guys that you can unscrew your screw-ups when you're messing with these sliders. But we'll go ahead and come out of the tuning menu, take a look at the car inside and out in game, and then give it a little drive. Alright, so here we are in one of the very nicely modeled new parking areas. I believe that just came out with the latest update. Again, that could need fact check, but I hadn't seen it until the update came out, so this is a pretty cool little parking area here. Anyway, we have our midnight purple Skyline GTR R34. As you can see, kind of what I pointed out, what that paint carries over in-game. Now, you can tell that they tried to do some kind of like paint shift effect. You can see the purple crystallization, if you will, around the lights, but still just not quite there. But matter of fact, I don't know that any of the SRP servers allow you to drive the midnight purple colorway, so maybe not such a big deal. Anyway, but just like we're in the showroom, nothing has really changed here as we've loaded into game. All the textures look great. This thing is, man, this thing is friggin' slammed, and I love it. Again, that front slider does start on 0, so that rear end should be a little taller than the front, should be standing a little taller than the front, but I can't really tell a difference at this point. Carbon fiber comes through nicely on that rear diffuser. Pretty much what one would call a factory-looking exhaust for the R34. The WED sports look great. Calipers and discs look great. Lights look good. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe this car has turn signals. No, it does not. Nope. Turn signal button isn't working. So no turn signals on the R34, which sucks because you can't throw your hazards on when you smoke some noob. Now, if you guys don't know that, you can push F5 and use your mouse buttons to do exactly what I'm doing right now. You can zoom in and out. You can control with the camera with your left mouse button, and you can do a nice little scenic rotate if you hold your right mouse button down. Now, as we pan over to the front of the car, you can see that we have a Nismo branded intercooler, our GTR logo in the grille, and a candid license plate, this is very common from my time in Japan. A lot of the guys that ran the street or your street drifters would have their plates on hinges, or their plates just simply angled like that, so they would screw with the speed cameras. However, if the local popo got a hold of you, they would fine you for that. And quite a hefty fine as well. But that is a telltale sign of an illegal street racer in Japan. Either that or somebody who's very bad with a screwdriver. One or the other. But that's a cool little detail to see. So let's go ahead and go into the interior of the vehicle and do a little overview there. Here we are inside the GTR R34, and having personal experience sitting in one of these, man, this is awesome. This is probably one of the coolest redesigns of the interior of the R34 in a video game I have ever seen. And specifically for one reason, and that's something that came only on the R34, or first with the R34, which was this navigational display that came out of the top of the center console there. You can do a menagerie of things with this. Now, when I had my R34, it was all in Japanese, and I never, at a singular time, figured out how to put it in English. So it was in complete Asian hieroglyphics for me the entire time, but I could push a couple buttons and get that to display things like G-force and boost. Just like the modern GTR equivalent that has the onboard computer that will tell you all these things, this was the grassroots of that. This was the first implementation of that in-car computer. But even in high-quality games like Forza, you never see this actually working or doing anything. Now, they only have a lap timer on there that I don't believe that you can actually reset or have any sort of interaction with, but it's still cool that it's actually illuminated, it's actually working, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now, just from this position, one thing that I can point out to you that is unique to this car is the Tommy Carrara gauge cluster. Now, I don't even want to tell you how freaking expensive that is. Anything branded Tommy Carrara is generally A, rare, B, old, and C, belongs into a car you can't afford. But it's really cool to have a Tommy Carrara cluster. I'm a big fan of that. That's awesome. This is not your factory cluster, excuse me, in a GTR, but really nice touch there. I believe we're gonna test this theory, but I believe that clock works as well. It may change to 0039, it may not, I'm not sure. But let's go over the interior here. My FOV is a little changed since the last video, but not much. Those look identical to the R34 stock seats. Super comfortable, not so inviting to those of us who have what I like to call birthing hips. That would be conducive to birthing, which is what I have. I found as a very large Western male, I was sitting up on the bolsters of those seats, so they're kind of comes with the territory. A lot of the aftermarket seats that you get in Japan, the Brides, Recaros, a little small for big boys like me, but super comfortable seats, and those are very accurate to what they actually look like. That material is what my GTR seats were in, so that's pretty cool. Again, just like the NSX, everything that is supposed to be something in here looks exactly like what it's supposed to be there. The carpet could use a little rework. The carpet doesn't so much look like carpet as it does some kind of like plastic inlay. But are you really looking at the carpet? Does it really matter? No, not very much. Shifter looks just like the GTR shifter, except I can't really see the branding on the front, which doesn't really matter. And then the man himself. The man himself hanging to adorn you, to watch all your laps in glory, to breathe fire upon your foes, hanging in the mirror. That's a cool little touch. I'm not big into that, because I never have shit hanging from my rearview mirror, because I didn't just graduate high school and don't have like my little high school graduate dangly thing, or some girl that's lost a lot of respect for herself and let you hang her panties in your rearview mirror. Not into that. Not into that. Man, I'm coffee today. I am confiffy today. That comes from a 8.5 hour stream and too much chewing tobacco. All right, I think we got it out. But anyway, all in all, great interior on this car. Really like it. Function the lights on and off. Nothing really changing with the lights besides the gauge cluster there. You can see that illuminating and de-illuminating. De-illuminating? We'll go with that. But all in all, great interior. Really like it. I drive this car probably the most on the SRP. So I look at this interior a lot. Never once have I gotten sick of it. Cycle through the views here. Everything looks great. Now, this is the view that I prefer to drive in all the time, and that triggers a lot of people for some reason. A lot of people do not like the hood view, whether it's very poor for spectating, they can't see a lot going on, or you have no peripherals or mirrors. But I find that I can make more accurate decisions on braking distance and what kind of corner I'm going into when I drive from this view. But that's just personal. Again, I'm using C. That's just what I have bound to change my camera around. But there's one thing I'd like to show you. After playing with a few guys last night, a lot of people didn't know this. You can go into your right menu here, and under AC apps, there's what's called onboard settings. It's got a little helmet with some vision lines coming out of it. You click that, and now once you have this up and you are in this view, so steering wheel view, not to be confused with the gauge cluster view, which a lot of people with wheel setups like to use. If you are in this view, you can use this menu, and you can change a lot of the positioning and a lot of the camera angles with all these buttons. So you can see that I'm just basically changing the height, you know. If you need a booster seat, you can go all the way down here. If you're a tall guy, you can go all the way up here. If you get your gangster lean on when you drive, you can go all the way over here. It just depends. I don't want to screw this up too much because I'll never get it back to where I had it. But anyway, yeah, you can do all those. You can change your FOV from here. I had mine sit at 50, but you can go do whatever you want with that. This is going to change your field of view on the fly. Seating position. This is just as if you're actuating, you know, the electronic seating control or that little slider on the bottom of your seat. This is just bringing you forward and backward. And then pitch is changing the angle of your head. So if you slept really shitty last night and your neck hurts, you're going to be somewhere around here. If you like to scoff at people and hold your head up high, you can put it up here. It doesn't matter, but that's all that stuff. Then you just hit save and go for it. So, I don't know, just cool little detail if you didn't know. Has nothing to do pertaining to this car, but you can do this on every car that I've tested so far. Just a neat little thing to know if you think your view is kind of jacked up. So I hope all of you enjoyed yet another overview of one of the SRP featured cars. Now, there are some dabblings of what we might get with one of the upcoming updates with as far as more vehicles are concerned, but you can find those in the SRP Discord, and I will include that link below in the description. That will also be the place if you're interested in just checking out SRP as a whole. The Discord is a fantastic place to get all your links, all your tracks, all your car packs, everything you need to get involved. And if you have any trouble installing it, there might be a helpful soul or two to help you troubleshoot. I know there was for me, and they were very helpful with getting that all figured out. Now what I'm going to leave you guys with is another clip from my Twitch channel from the stream earlier where we were trying to hot lap the C1 loop on the Tokyo Expressway in the GTR R34. Rather see one view over another. That's another thing that I'd like to know. If something is better for your viewing pleasure than what I've been doing, I need to know that. If you don't tell me, then it ain't gonna happen. I'm just gonna do what I want, and I'm probably gonna do what I want anyway. Crazy. I'm gonna leave you guys with that clip, and we will be back with another video shortly. I'm gonna try to space these out a little bit, that way I don't overwhelm everyone or get oversaturated with videos. I want to make you wait. I want to make you sweat it hard sweating. But it won't be too long because I've really enjoyed the 2 videos that we've done so far. Anyway, guys, I will see you in the next one. We're gonna do another showcase vid, breaking down another car from the SRP server. But until then, enjoy this rip sesh in the Nissan Skyline R34 GTR. What's up, Hassan? This a GT map? This is just an open world free roam, man. You can put exclamation SRP in the chat. I'll tell you all about it. Doing great, bro. Going for a good morning drive. Trying to sit some times on the C1, so No complaints. That was close. Equipment just got delivered yesterday. It's fucking awesome. I bet it is. Love to have a home gym. But I might actually go. Don't lose it. Our fucking asset was out for sure.